Hey there, Pisces. Welcome to your reading for mid-May 2025. You have this koi fish card. It says there's always enough. And you have this moth spirit that says surrender now. So what do you have to surrender to? I'm not sure, Pisces, what you are surrendering to. Probably ending a cycle with that Nine of Swords. You know, you have the Four Wands as your first card, and the Four Wands is a card of like celebration and happiness and joy in a lot of ways. And so I feel, yeah, sure, it can represent marriage, and obviously there could definitely be love coming in for you here, but I kind of feel like this is saying you need to like surrender to allowing yourself to be happy for the rest of the month. Now, I will say that I am doing this video on May 9th. It'll be published on the 10th. So if you're watching this before the Scorpio full moon, we have Scorpio right here on the 12th. You know, that Scorpio full moon is a little bit tricky because we're being asked to like let go of something, obviously, or to completely release something in our lives. But the new moon on the 26th at the end of the month is extremely positive. So, even if you're being asked to release something, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But, the other thing that I get here is like some of you could just be releasing all your past relationships is kind of popping into my head. It's like all those like little pieces that you hold on to, all those little things that I can't even describe. It seems to me like a lot of you could actually be closing those things out. And I'm not saying you're like talking to all your exes or anything like that. I would say this is more, feels more personal to me, where you could be, releasing beliefs or, ideas or things that have happened to you, and you're kind of moving forward. The Four Wands is a great card of marriage. And we have the King and Queen of Pentacles, which is also great. Those two are divine counterparts, and they're great divine counterparts. They want to build something very secure. Now, I will say, I'm not like the biggest fan of the King and Queen of Pentacles, although we will see what comes up, because we're going to clarify this. It's not that they're bad. It's just, they can be a little bit boring. It's lacking a little bit of that excitement. Is that a problem? Not necessarily, and we'll see what comes up. And the Queen of Pentacles is coming up in the good stuff, but I feel like you're releasing all these things from the past. The Four Wands is a card of freedom. We have to cross this finish line right here on the card and get to the other side, and we have to celebrate on the other side. There is something about this month, the rest of the month, even if you're watching this before the 15th, I would say, even before then, there is something about this month of like needing to have more fun in your life, Pisces, and needing to not take things too seriously. I think that if we're taking things seriously this month, we're just going to create a bunch of resistance to, and that will make things not work, right? And so I kind of get that feeling from the reading. I mean, you even have the Six of Cups next, which is the card of your inner child. And so I feel for a lot of you, this is kind of like saying that you need to embrace that inner child. You have the Knight of Cups. Yeah, this could definitely be a knight in shining armor coming in for you if you want love. I mean, it is a good love reading, of course. And I said at the beginning of the year, literally, that May would be the month for love for Pisces. I said that. So I feel that a lot of you could be attracting love. This could also be something that you will love. If you've been struggling, and, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I say these things, and I think people think I'm saying one or the other, but it could be both. Like, you could be attracting both things into your life, love and something else that you will love. And what I feel here is that if you've been feeling lost and not sure what to do next, I kind of feel that some of you could be getting much more clear on your dream. We have 2 6s in the next row. And if you've been watching me for a while, I love 2 6s. 2 6s is like confirmation for your path, and it kind of says you're moving in the right direction. So very good start to the reading. The one fly in the ointment here in the reading is the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords is a never-ending nightmare. Now, one thing that is popping into my head with the Nine of Swords is that you should be careful of like checking. Checking is a behavior, meaning that if you meet a new person this month and you're constantly checking to see if they are cheating on you, for example, then you're probably going to find something you don't like, right? And that doesn't mean that you like attracted it or, anything like that. But I feel like this is saying if you are like checking in a relationship, that number one, if you look for things, you will probably find them, right? There's an old saying, when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And that's kind of what's popping into my head with the Nine of Swords. That if you're looking at for things, you're going to find things that make you kind of paranoid. And I feel the need to not do that here, Pisces. The other thing is that it looks to me like you're attracting a really good person. So if you start doing things that are like weird, then you're going to piss this person off and they're going to leave, and when they weren't doing anything in the first place. So I kind of feel that Nine of Swords is asking you to let go of all those little pieces of past relationships is, kind of what is popping into my head with that Nine of Swords. I also feel clearly we have the Page of Cups to the Nine of Swords. So if you've been worried about whether or not you're going to get into a connection or if you're going to be with a person, again, this is saying to me that you're about to attract something. Yes, with the Four of Wands, you have the Three of Cups celebrating on the other side. Those people are celebrating on the other side of the Four of Wands. Three of Cups is a celebration, so there could be, something coming in for you in the middle of the month that makes you really happy. I would also say that, after the new moon at the end of the month, I feel people are going to feel a lot better. We're definitely not in a perfect time, and I'm not saying things are going to be perfect. I'm just saying better, better than they have been. And, I definitely feel Pisces feels the energies of the world, and I definitely think Pisces needs a break. I mean, I think Pisces has been feeling something is off for a long time. I know that I have. And, I think we need a break from that energy. And it looks to me like you are getting one. With the Knight of Cups, you have the Strength card. Yeah, there's something about patience for sure. I kind of picked up on it about not rushing. And King, the thing about King and Queen of Pentacles is they definitely would take their time, getting to know the person, they both each other, because they both show up here. They both would be taking the time to get to know the other person. And so I feel this Strength card is encouraging patience and connections, or with new people that you meet, all that would be good. With the Nine of Swords, you have the Queen of Swords here. It's like you're seeing, we go this way, Queen of Swords straight across to the High Priestess, to the Devil. And, the Devil's showing up in the good stuff. So, that could be you avoiding some sort of devil situation, or it could say that you're, to me, this looks like you're getting clarity on, the toxic connections that you've attracted in your life. And you are probably just seeing what you need to avoid, what you need to look out for, all that other stuff. But I also wouldn't be paranoid with that Nine of Swords. And that, again, I'm a Pisces. I can say this. I totally get it. Pisces is paranoid, right? Say it with me. We're paranoid. And I think that we should not be paranoid. I think it's very easy for Pisces to fall into that place of paranoia, thinking something's happening that isn't. Now, sometimes it's your intuition. Sometimes it's not. And you have to be able to tell the difference between those two things. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Hand of Fate card. It says, forces beyond your control intervene. So there could be a fated connection here. You have the Siren card. It says, a temptation may lead you astray. Devil. The devil is a temptation that can lead you astray. So number one, I would be careful of past people. Although the devil is coming up in the good stuff, so I feel that that is probably not going to happen. The other thing that I'm getting here, Pisces, is I feel if you have recently had an idea for something work-related or business-related, King of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, I feel like the Siren card is saying stick with that idea. Don't get distracted and pulled in a new direction. I feel the month of May, since the beginning of May, maybe even the end of April, you've had some sort of inspiration. You have the Star here. And I feel this is saying, stick with it. And there's something about that here as well. You have the Six of Cups, Six of Pentacles, and the Page of Cups. Six of Cups can represent kind of innocence and nostalgia. It's a card of your inner child. It's a card of thinking about the past. But we literally go from Six of Cups to the Death card to the Devil. The Death card, like I was saying at the beginning of the reading, the first message I got is that you're letting go of those, the pieces of past relationships. Again, I'm not saying you're holding on to past relationships, but there might be little things that you hold on to without realizing it. And so I feel like that Death card is more like you shedding your skin. It's like you're like a snake and you are shedding your something out of your life. And you could be thinking about those things that you want to release, which is great. 2 sixes, like I said, you're on the right path. Six of Cups can also be a gift from the universe. And usually the gift we receive with the Six of Cups is some sort of turnaround, meaning that we've been bumping up against obstacles and now those obstacles are being removed. You have the Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles is equal give and take. So if you are attracting a new person, this is what you're going to want to pay attention to is, kind of balanced giving. and not giving too much. Us Pisces are really bad at that. We always give everything up front when we probably shouldn't. So I feel like the Six of Pentacles is saying, it's not about like playing games. It doesn't say you have to whip out a calculator and be like a nerd and be like, well, this week I gave them 100 hours of my time, and if I calculate this, they only gave me 80 hours. I need to break up with them. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is, for the most part, if are they giving, right? Is there equal give and take? And this is about matching energy. I also feel the need to like just take your time. I'm not saying you're going to scare this person away, but I feel like some of you could be, you have a lot of Capricorn energy here, right? You have the Queen of Pentacles and the Devil. It could be a Capricorn. It doesn't have to be, but it could be. It could be an Earth sign, right? Or someone with Earth in their chart. The thing about Capricorns in relationships is, and I'm not saying this person is a Capricorn, I'm just saying the energy exists in this reading. So if you meet a person this month, I want you to act as if they are a Capricorn, right? And the thing about Capricorns is that, they can be extremely loyal, but they can take a while to kind of like warm up. And so it just seems to me like there's a warming up period going on here, where it's like you're kind of like warming up the connection. And I would just take your time and allow it to happen. Especially if you have been love starved for a while, it's like you might want to be around this person 24/7, but at the same time, they might not want to be around you 24/7, and that's not a bad thing. So I would take your time in this connection if there is love. You have the Page of Cups again, an admirer, so there's clearly a person that is interested in you. I also, we've talked enough about it. So the other thing I'm getting here, Pisces, is your vision with that temptation may lead you astray card. He needs to grab on to this opportunity that exists. I always say that fish might be part of his dream, or it might be something that he's trying to manifest here on Earth. And he really needs to make it happen. He needs to grab onto it and, bring it down to Earth. So I kind of feel this is saying, if you've had an idea, or if you get an idea that feels good this month, do it, and don't go off on another direction. Yes, with the Six of Cups, you have the Eight of Wands. I always say with the Eight of Wands, we cannot pull in two directions. With the Eight of Wands, we can only go in one direction. Well, we can try to pull in two directions, but we're just not going to move, right? And so if we focus in one direction with the Eight of Wands, then we will be extremely successful. If not, we won't. The Eight of Wands is also a card of ease. I always say that the Eight of Wands is my card of creating a slip and slide in your life. And I think that would be a great thing for you to do, especially with this moon that we're having on the 12th. So if you're watching this before the 12th, even if you're watching it up to 5 days after the 12th, and even after that, I think, if you didn't remove things that are causing friction in your life, you still have time. So I would say that, what doesn't matter when you're watching this, but I would look at things that are slowing you down. And it could be anything: habits, activities, people, places, things, jobs, something that you do in your job, whatever, and I would try to make it more slippery. And there are, you're going to have to do your research, but you can do it. With the Six of Pentacles, you have the Hangman. Yeah, what he's taking his time. He is gathering information, right? He's hanging from the tree of knowledge and wisdom, and he's looking at something from a different perspective. I think that if you're attracting love, that you're going to have a different perspective, because it's almost like you're attracting someone who moves differently, But I feel like this is a person who maybe is good for you, Pisces, because they're probably, I think Pisces attracts anxious connections, right? And I feel this person could be more measured and calculated, and they can take their time. And so I feel that you're going to have a new perspective on what love is. Maybe that's what you're gaining in this situation. I also feel, like I said, Hangman has gained enlightenment. And I was saying on that Knight of Cups that I was almost feeling that you are now understanding what your next steps are. So if you have been confused, which you probably have for the past year or so, I feel like you're getting answers on what to do next. Here you go. With the Page of Cups, you have the Six of Pentacles. I call this card the tennis match of love. It's like you hit the ball to their side, you let them hit the ball to your side, and you just have this nice little back and forth, right? And again, I think that as long as you have this nice back and forth with a person, that things will go very well. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this Take the Lead card. It says, don't wait for others to light the way. It's your time to step up and take the lead. Yes. You have this exchanging gifts. It says, you can't make this up. It says, there's a dance of give and take. What you give, you will get back. So give and take is very important in this reading. I feel like what you need to take the lead on is whatever you're thinking about starting with that Six of Pentacles. With the Six of Pentacles, we have to start planting seeds in a direction. And so it's definitely time for you to like start, take the lead on projects or ideas or whatever you're doing. But yeah, give and take, super important. You have the King of Pentacles, the Death card, and the High Priestess. Yeah, it's a good time for money for you, Pisces. It is for the next like 3 years. And once we get to 2026, in January, at the end of on January 26th of 2026, Neptune moves back into Aries, and Saturn will be there with it. And so, again, I think this will be very good for those Pisces that can be disciplined with their finances. A lot of you could be learning new ways to be disciplined with your finances, and this will also probably increase your finances because you are being more disciplined, or, you're learning better ways to deal with your finances. You're learning ways to like not spend money on things you don't need, all that other good stuff. But again, like I said, and have been saying to you for months, it is a good time for money. Now, I get a million comments from all the Pisces that say, I'm not making any money. Yes, you have to do something different. You have to do something completely different than you've ever done in your life. So you're going to have to learn like new ways to improve your finances. You're going to need to learn new ways to make yourself valuable at work or in business to get that raise or promotion. It's like tarot isn't magic. Tarot can't do anything for you. It's just energy that you have to work with. The King of Pentacles, though, is about your skills. He has these grapes on his cloak, and those grapes represent a skill that he has that is difficult for most people, but that he can do well. And so this could be about you focusing in on a skill or developing a skill, learning a new skill that could make you more successful in the future. So I would. You have the Death card, which again makes sense. We have this full moon in Scorpio on the 12th. And I feel that this full moon in Scorpio, it's kind of making some interesting angles. It's opposing Uranus, and which can make it a little bit unpredictable. But you could be noticing things that you have to let go of, or something. It's almost like the universe is like, hey, this right here doesn't work. So it's like the universe is pointing at something in your life that might no longer serve you, or just might not be for your highest good. And I would pay attention to whatever that thing is. It is what it is with the Death card, but definitely a transformation. You show up in a strong position here, so definitely you taking the lead. Yeah, it's time for Pisces to show themselves what they're made of, basically. The High Priestess has no roof over her head, and, the High Priestess is really the card of unlimited potential. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but, I always encourage Pisces to do something hard, because if, not only will you probably exceed your expectations and figure out what your true strength is with the Strength card and also the King of Pentacles, but your life will never be the same again. So, really, I would go try to do something that you think is hard or impossible or difficult, because it'll be worth it. I would never, people always say also like, I just want a break and all this other stuff. I'm like, no, you don't. It's like, I think people think they want an easy life, but, easy is usually never good. So really what you want is a challenge that kind of makes you feel fulfilled is what you want. You want a challenge that causes you to grow and can make your life easier for sure. But, again, I would challenge yourself with that High Priestess. With the King of Pentacles, you have the Tower. Scorpio energy, definitely releasing something. So I feel like you could be releasing something. I also feel not bad about this, though. Like, I feel this could be a surprise. So, this right here could be like surprise communication with a person. I'm also not worried about the Tower because we have the Star. So, whenever you have the Tower to the Star, it kind of says that you could be healing something. This kind of looks to me like maybe some of you over the past couple years, it's like maybe your income has gone down, or you've been looking for better ways to make money. And, this literally could say that you are finding better ways to make money, which would be great. With the Death card, you have the Three of Pentacles. Yeah, Three of Pentacles says teamwork makes the dream work. Three of Pentacles is also taking the lead, in some ways. He is the one that is in control of the vision of what he is building. These people are coming in a support position. They are supporting his vision of like what he is building here. And so, again, if you're working on anything, now, I think I said this to you in your last reading, Pisces, now that I think about it. I don't ask people for permission. I do this too, where like I'll share my ideas with people, like in my family and things like that. Like I just want someone to tell me that something is a good idea. And I feel like the Three of Pentacles is saying don't. It's like time to just prove that your ideas are good on your own. Now, that doesn't, of course, I think this is saying there are people who will support your vision, and you should surround yourself with those people. But it's almost like the Three of Pentacles is really saying to me, don't ask for permission. And I'm not talking about permission like, can I do this? It's more like, again, I do this too, where it's like I go tell people things because it's like, it's almost like I want them to say, yes, this is a good idea, almost like, kind of giving me the answer. But I feel there's something about this reading that says you already have the answers. You don't need proof. You don't need permission. Just do it. And, that's it. That's what I would do. With the High Priestess, you have the Ace of Wands. Yeah, I told you inspiration because we have the Star. So we have two very inspirational cards. And if you're working on something that is an inspiration, or if you are creating something that you are inspired to do, it'll be very good. Next, in the area of the good stuff, yes, you have this Process Your Feelings card and this Truth card. And definitely in love, I would process your feelings. Don't fall in love with someone on the first date. This is kind of like saying, go on a couple dates with a person and then think about it. Like, how do you actually feel with that person? I guarantee you, if you look at past relationships, if you really think about it, it's like, was that person really like interesting to you? Would it be someone you really, really would want to spend your life with or not? And I think people need to think about that right now. As in, like, if this person were just your friend, would you actually really spend time with them if there weren't other things going on in the connection, if the love part was removed? And it's almost like that's what that card is asking you to think about. You have this Truth card, so someone could be revealing a truth, and it could be an earth sign. You have the Queen of Pentacles, the Star, and the Devil. The Queen of Pentacles, number one, is great for your resources. I always say that the Queen of Pentacles is really a card of multiplication. She has this rabbit right here. The rabbit can represent fertility and abundance, can represent fears and anxiety, but also rabbits multiply very quickly. And with the Eight of Wands showing up here, I would do more work that multiplies. It's like we all have certain skills and things where we get a bigger result than what we put in. And that's what you need to identify with the Queen of Pentacles is like, what do you do that produces a better result? But not just money. This could also be in love. It could be in business. It could be in your health, your spirituality. There are certain things that give you a bigger bang for your buck. And that's what I would be thinking about with the Queen of Pentacles. You have the Star. The Star can be a wish. It could also be healing from a Tower moment. So if you have had a Tower moment, then you could be healing from that. The Star is also kind of about your focus, just like the Eight of Wands. We need to focus on this one star right here, and we need to have a North Star. We need to have a guiding light in life. And so some of you could be kind of attracting or kind of coming up with an idea, I should say, that is a guiding light in your life, and that's what I would move towards with this card. Again, could also be, you have Scorpio, Taurus, Capricorn, Aquarius, Water, Leo, Pisces showing up in this reading. So it could be any of those signs that I just mentioned. You have the Devil, but the Devil is showing up in the good stuff. So the Devil and the good stuff can say you're eliminating bad habits. You are eliminating the energy drainers in your life. And I feel that it would be a good thing for you to focus on as well. So if you're noticing any bad habits, especially financially, getting rid of those things would be a good idea. With the Queen of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Pentacles. So basically, the universe saying, I meant what I said. Definitely focus on multiplication. With the Star, you have the Justice card. This really could be like positive karma. You have the North Node in your sign. And again, I always say North Node is karmic. It can, the North Node can bring us karma, is what I'm trying to spit out here. So, if you had like some sort of Tower moment in the past, especially like if this is something that you thought would last forever or last a long time. I'm not saying it's love, but there could have been something in your life that you thought would last for a long time, and maybe there was a Tower moment like years ago. This right here would say that you're getting positive karma for like what you went through. So I definitely feel that there could be some positive karma. With the Devil, you have the Four of Pentacles. Yes, like I said, letting go of those little pieces, right, of the things from the past. So you could definitely be really kind of focused on letting go of those little aspects of relationships, past relationships or whatever, and you could be healing those things. This could also be financial as well, Pisces. Based off your astrology, since like 2008, you probably had a bunch of things happen financially, bad things, and now you could be clearing out those traumas, right? You have this bluff card. I kind of feel like someone thinks that you are calling their bluff or something, but you're not. I don't know. I would just ignore it. This feels like something that you should ignore. Next, you have this idealism card. I think this is what you should probably be careful of, is like, getting into a connection and, idealizing the connection. Although I don't feel too bad about this card either. It's not really a bad card in this deck. It is the Sun in Aquarius. And, like I said, I would be careful of idealizing something. I think you've learned that lesson. You have this power card. Yeah, I think that a lot of you, and look at, this card is the moon in Scorpio as well. So we have this moon in Scorpio. You could actually be becoming more powerful by releasing things that no longer serve you, which is the whole point of this moon for Pisces. So that makes sense. Next, you have this resourcefulness card. Yes, Queen of Pentacles is the card of resourcefulness. You have the Queen of Pentacles twice. So you're going to have to be resourceful, which I say to you in almost every single reading anyway. Yeah, here you go. You have this devotion card, which is great. This is my till death do us part card. So if you are attracting love, you could be attracting something very secure, something that is like meant to last forever. But this is a really good reading, Pisces, minus the Nine of Swords. I'm not even worried about the Tower because of the star. But it looks good. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.